Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Hello and welcome to the Persistence Payoff Show. We're here on USA Global TV and Radio. I'm your host, Kimberly Schafer. This show is founded on the belief that our goals and our dreams are the seeds for our future, and persistence is the fuel that brings those into reality. I'm on my own journey with persistence. I'm a first-time entrepreneur and inventor. I'm the inventor of the ring thing, which is a waterproof patented ring holder. And I'm learning about persistence and its payoffs every single day. I'm thrilled today to have as our guest Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. She has an incredible story of persistence. Dr. KERBECK is the founder, president, and chief listening officer of USA Global TV and Radio. She's also the listening mentor, and she's published multiple best-selling books on elevated listening. She's written children's books. She's now enrolled in the Wharton School Chief Strategy Officer Training Program and many, many more things. So I'm just so honored to have her here. And please help me welcome Dr. Jacalyn to the show.
Hi, Kimberly. Thank you so much for having me as your guest. It's a real honor to be on the other side of the screen.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. I'm just thrilled. So I really want to dive into the wonderful things that you're working on right now. But before we do that, I'd like to just go back and remind people about how USA Global TV and Radio started. And could you just remind us when you started the network and how many shows and hosts you had at the beginning?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I started out with a radio show out of New York called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. And I also had an in-person TV show in the local New Jersey area, and the same show, Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. And both shows were booked out for over a year. And I then started to branch out and do a couple of other shows. And then I had people coming to me and saying, hey, could I do a show with you? And then people saying, could I have my own show? So USA Global TV and Radio was officially founded. Our first day broadcasting was January 22nd of 2021. And from there, we've now celebrated for 2022. I'm sorry, it was January 21st, 2022. We've now celebrated 4 years of live streaming and over 10,000 shows, and we have earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award.
Wow. So it started in 2022. So that you have built this over a 4-year period. I think that is quite amazing. So first of all, congratulations and thank you, because I think this is a platform that shares so much information and gives opportunity for people to share their expertise. So thank you so much for all that you've done with that. Now,
thank you. It's an absolute joy and a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And the network is continuing to grow. So the network received the Silver Creator Award, and I believe that the number of subscribers has increased quite a bit since that time even. Is that correct?
Yes, so we now have over 108,000 subscribers on USA Global TV and Radio YouTube channel, and then we have just about 38,000 on Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. And of course, we also stream to social media, and then some of our shows stream through distributors. So we also stream on Amazon Fire. So we have a number of places where we are, and we continue to grow. We're in over 60 countries and in 3 languages, English, French, and German.
Oh my goodness. And when you look at where you are now and you reflect back over the last 4 years, was this your vision to have this many subscribers and be at this level? Or what was your initial vision for USA Global TV and Radio?
At first, it was a hobby, to be honest with you. And I was taking care of my mother. She had dementia. And if it weren't for the fact that I was a full-time caregiver, I probably never would have been on this journey, because I had just retired from corporate and I had completely different plans about what I was going to do. But because I needed to be in the house and make sure that she didn't leave the house, I needed something I could do where I was at home. So I created a broadcast studio in the house. And so that was not what I thought I was going to be doing. But many years ago, one of my friends who's an empath, she said that I would be in the media and I would be on the red carpet one day. So I laughed because I haven't been on a red carpet, but not yet. So we're headed that way.
Yes, I think yet is the key word, because it's really remarkable all that you've done and are doing. And so now how many hosts do you have on the network?
I think we have 38 hosts.
Wow.
So it continues to change. We have, when I say change, we have new people who are coming on board. I've been interviewing a number of people, and I think we have 4 people who are slated to start, but some of them need training. And so we offer the training because not everyone has the confidence that it takes, as you know, to do this and show up. It takes a lot of work and a lot of self-esteem. So there's training that's going on. So I would say in any calendar year, the number is going to be different, but that's pretty much what it is this year.
Yes. And you have added some shows, some new shows that you are hosting personally. I think, can you talk with us a little bit about your daily show that you're doing now?
Yes, I can. The show is called Let's Finally Talk, and it's a show that I just do by myself. I'm looking for the graphic to see if I have it. I'm sure it's here somewhere. But it's a show that I do where I'm just talking about certain things that are typically related to listening. And then I have another show, which is Talking Heads. And on Talking Heads, I'm typically sharing information for business owners and entrepreneurs. And then I also have a new show called What They Never Taught You in School. And that is brand new. And I've just been doing 2 episodes so far. And I also have Iconic Women and Judgment, the Hidden Sin.
Oh my goodness. You are busy. And in the midst of that, you have started a very high level executive training program. And can you talk with us a little bit about that as well, please?
Sure. Thank you. Yes, I am currently a student at the Wharton School of Business, the Executive Education Program, and I am in the Chief Strategy Officer program, which is really fascinating because a lot of what I'm learning, I am incorporating into what I'm doing on both sides of my businesses. I have USA Global TV and Radio, and I also have Dr. Jacalyn LLC. And so I do a lot of private advisory, I do coaching, and I also write books and lead master classes and am a keynote speaker. So it's been really rewarding, and we're only in week 4. It goes all the way until December. So it's currently January, and it's really interesting to meet from people, all different walks of life and all different parts of the world, and looking at case studies for global organizations, all of which I've heard of before, and looking at things that they had to make decisions on, and then being able to put our input as to how we see it or what we would have done.
Fascinating. And is that online or is that an in-person course?
It's online. So once a week, we meet online as a group, as a cohort. And I think there are 35 of us. And then we have our assignments that drop on Thursday. And we have a week to do all the assignments. And then at the end of the year, we actually meet at the Wharton School of Business in Pennsylvania for 2 days.
Goodness. So when, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the role that persistence has played in all of these channels, for lack of a better word, all of these paths that you are on and the things that you have accomplished. And one question I have is, when you think about your own persistence, do you feel like that quality is the same across everything, that it looks the same with USA Global TV and Radio as it does with your studies, as it does with your writing? Or does your persistence vary at all, qualitatively or quantitatively?
I think it's the same across the board. So when I commit to something, I'm totally committed. A little over 3 weeks ago, I decided I wasn't going to drink wine anymore, which I love my Chardonnay, and I wasn't going to eat sugar anymore. And I've had a number of things happen. My apartment was flooded for the second time. In fact, I'm coming to you from my kitchen right now. And so I just stay the course, whatever the course is. If I feel like that's a good solution, then it permeates across everything that I do. And one thing I have to say is I am not someone to dwell on things. I don't dwell on the past. I don't hold grudges, and I make decisions based on the information that I have, and then I'll do some further research. But once I make a decision, I'm pretty committed to it. So I know many times we can get bogged down with thinking about, well, what if and should I? I don't do that. I used to do it, but I don't do it anymore. So when I have a challenge, which we all do, I look for what is the solution.
Yeah. That is so powerful, because I think you're right. We can get stuck, and I'm certainly guilty of that, of getting stuck in the quagmire of feeling all the feels about whatever it is that's going on. And so I think that's really great advice. And when you look back, particularly over the last 4 years of USA Global TV and Radio, are there a couple of things that jump out to you as surprises that you just never expected would happen, or that you never expected to learn in this journey?
Several, actually. I have made bad business decisions, meaning that I have hired people to do things and they basically stole my money and didn't deliver what they were supposed to. And I would say on another end, I think probably my greatest lesson was learning how to take care of my mother, who was my best friend, and watching her slowly lose her mind at the same time that I was building my businesses. And a story that I've told before, but I think it really just highlights it, is there was a big sign on the front door on the inside, "Do not go outside." That was for my mother, because I'd be in my room broadcasting. And she went out this one day and I didn't hear her go out. And I was hosting a show and I kept getting text messages. And as you know, it's very hard to broadcast and look at your phone. But at one point I had to, and it was a friend who said that she was walking close to I-95 and it was about 95 degrees. And I was still broadcasting and my mother was out there. And I thought, at this moment, this has to be such a split decision. And of course, I had to go with my mom and go figure out where she was. And so I was able to get somebody to take over for me and then get in the car and close the show out while I was driving and looking for my mother. And it was a lot. But what I realized, I pulled over, by the way, I wasn't closing the show, I was driving. But what I learned was that we are only limited by our own beliefs.
Yes. Wow. Well, first of all, I'm very sorry that your mother went through that and that you went through that. That's a tough, dementia is a very tough thing to go through. So I'm sorry about that. And, you're right that, and that's actually a very inspiring kernel right there, that, we're only limited by our beliefs, because that self-talk is so easy to give ourselves. Oh, I can't because X, Y, and Z. And I think you're showing us that that's not the case, that, we can frame things differently. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that. I think something I would add to that is, as a business owner, and as a business owner, we all make decisions and we have to prioritize what it is that we do. So I become highly aware of when someone is setting a boundary based on what they think is best, or if they're just running away from something. And when I think someone is running away, I don't judge them, but I just say, okay, they're not ready yet. Whatever the situation is, it's not for them at this point in time. And we all have times when we come into this awareness of, okay, I like who I am, I'm comfortable with who I am, and I feel comfortable saying no. No is a complete sentence. And I feel comfortable saying, you know what, I'll walk through this door and I'll take this opportunity.
Yes. Yes, it's so true. It's absolutely true. And I'm thinking that you must also have become part psychologist, because you're also dealing with all the personalities of your different hosts, dealing with the personalities of the different guests and all of the different people that you work with. And have you found that that's a component where you become more of a psychologist type than perhaps you used to be?
I am laughing because that is so true. Sometimes I feel like I'm a full-time therapist without the actual training, because people will come to me and they'll tell me and I'll say, okay, you don't have money. Is that what it is? You don't have time. Like, just get to the bottom line. What is it that you need? Because sometimes people will have this entire story and they just want something. And so I am always like, just tell me what it is you need. And if I can meet you there, I'll meet you there. But I'm not one who likes a lot of backstory and a lot of detail. I find it to be very boring. Like, just tell me what you need and I'll see if I can work with you on it.
Yeah, that makes super good sense. I'm tend to be the same way. I'm not so interested in what happened in someone's childhood as where we are now and where we can go from here in any interaction. So yes.
Absolutely.
And life has a funny way of things weaving together. So you are, in addition to USA Global TV and Radio, you are the listening mentor, and you've written best-selling books on elevated listening. Do you find that that's helping you now in your studies with the Wharton School?
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting, because what I'm very keen in on is the fact that most people, regardless of what the background is, are not listening. Most people will take a few tidbits of a story and then they will just come to some conclusion. And so that continues. And of course, there's no judgment, but I'm very highly aware of it. And I'm no better than anyone else. I've just been on this journey. And of course, when you are a full-time caretaker for someone, you are listening. You have to listen, not just with your ears, but really with your eyes and with your heart. And I feel like everything that I've done has led me up to where I am today. And very soon I will have another announcement, which is something I've been dreaming of doing for a very long time. And in the last 24 hours, it came to light that it will be happening. So stay tuned for that.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations. And I'm thrilled to have we won't be making the announcement today, it sounds like, but at least to have the pre-announcement here on this show. So thank you for that. That's
absolutely. It's my pleasure. Once the details are worked out, I will be letting you know.
Yes. Oh, I'm very excited to hear about it. And yeah. And when you look ahead now, so just over the last year, so I've been hosting this show for just over a year, and I've seen all of the incredible things that you've done. And I feel like you've sort of gone into super speed with all of the innovations that you've done and the new paths that you're taking on. When you look ahead into the coming year, do you see the same thing, or do you feel like you'll sort of be bringing these things to fruition completely over the next year and then starting new things? Or do you see yourself doing new things continually during the coming year?
One of the things that I've learned by being a student at Wharton and in this Chief Strategy Officer program is that your strategy is to be fluid. And so in this industry, my strategy is probably 6 to 12 months, because I can't outpace technology, artificial intelligence. But one thing we do know is, if you think about how we used to watch television, what our options were, with going back to when I was growing up with the rabbit ears, and black and white TVs, and the little knob that you would tune, to now, I don't even have cable. So I only have streaming services. It's about giving people what they want on demand. And what I found is that people are most interested in content that resonates with them when they want to watch it. And they also really like short content. So each of the platforms that we stream to has a different way of sharing the content, and of course different algorithms. So we have to be in tune with that. And then of course the goal and the mission is to continue to expand into other countries where we're in different languages, and ultimately running the channel 24/7 on all different platforms to really compromise the network.
Wow, that's incredible. Just, yeah, again, congratulations. That's amazing. And yeah. Now, in the midst of all of this, what is your self-care? How do you take care of yourself and make sure that you're fueled to generate all of this energy?
I take very good care of myself. So, especially since I'm not drinking Chardonnay, I'm not eating sugar, I am at the gym every day and I do at least 2 hours. I'm taking off, like I took off over the weekend because the apartment was flooded and I had a lot of things to get ready, but I wasn't upset with myself. Normally I would be. And I drink probably 64 ounces of water. I get at least 10 hours of sleep. And I have 2 protein drinks a day, and I've got my protein for lunch. And my go-to now is potato chips, but they're really healthy potato chips, but that's my little cheat. So other than that, I think I take very good care of myself.
Yes. Well, that's great. And what a great model for the rest of us to see that. Because I think it's easy when you get busy to just sort of say, oh, can't work out today. I'll get there tomorrow. And so you're setting a really good example of being persistent about your self-care, that's a priority and you're making that happen.
Well, it's interesting. In the course of my life, I've been on crutches 3 times from teaching aerobics or doing something. I've had problems with my wrist from teaching spinning. Whatever the case was, I always made it back to working out and using some other body part. So whether it was just core, or whether it's just working my arms or my legs, if I'm on crutches going into the gym, it's always been a priority for me. And it's still a priority because if we don't have our health, we don't have anything.
No, it's so true. You're absolutely right. And so you've had great success in these different endeavors. But was there ever a point along the way, particularly in the last 4 years since you started the network, did you ever really consider giving up?
No, I never considered giving up. And the interesting thing is that many of the people in my life have never cared and still don't care. And so I always talk on my shows about external validation. I don't do anything so I can have a pat on the back and somebody can say, oh, wow, great job. I do it because I want to give people a voice and a place where they can share their voice. And I think one of the things that's really different here about other places is I encourage people to go out on their own. I encourage people to go on as many platforms as they want to. I don't own anyone. I don't control anyone. But to me, it's about leaving a legacy. And that's much more important than me. So I've never thought of giving up. And I feel like I'm on the path I'm supposed to be on. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
I love that. I love that. And you just published a new book about boundaries. And I'm curious to know, first, I'd love to hear more about that book. And the second part of the question is, what brings you to write a new book? Like, for example, that book, what was the genesis and the prompt that made you feel like I need to get this into book form?
My latest book is called Holy But Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment. And that's been out I think it's been out since September or August. I don't remember. And basically it was just being the person who was experiencing judgment being made about me and things that people said to me. And I thought, this is interesting. And I'm going to research and see if the information that people shared is actually true. And in order for it to be true, I want to find 3 sources that say that it is true. And it's basically about God not knowing me or loving me because I wasn't going to church. And so from there, I just wrote a book. And I felt like what I was experiencing, other people also experienced. So in that book, there's 100 statements that are purely judgmental or passive aggressive statements. And so I felt like there was a calling. Today, I had a call with one of my friends and colleagues from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and I'm going to be leading a team for the Take Steps Walk in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park on May 16th. And the person I spoke to asked me if I had written a children's book about irritable bowel disease and ulcerative colitis. And I said, no, I have an adult's book. And she said, well, it'd be great if you came up with a children's book because it's hard for children to talk about, going to the potty and things that, that happen when you have ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And so now I'm going to be writing that book. And she wants it by a certain time before the event. So I will get working on that. So basically, I write books based on a calling that I have. I have a new book coming out, which is called Stop Giving Away Your Value. And that's really because I see people like us, entrepreneurs, who are just giving things away because we feel like there's a place of fear where maybe nobody will like me, or people won't want to work with me, or people think I'm mean. And it's hard to set boundaries. So that book is coming out soon. I think May. I'm almost finished it.
Wow, that is incredible. I'm just trying to imagine how you find the time to do these things. I think you must be a very organized person.
It's funny because the insurance adjuster came out today and he said, wow, you are really organized. I have everything in bags. Everything's written down. I've got all the pictures. Yeah, I'm very organized, because you have to understand that I truly do not have a social life. Most people say, oh, the weekend I'm going to do this. I'm working and I'm working out. I'm working and I'm working out. That doesn't mean that it never changes, that I don't do anything social. I went down to see my family for the holidays, but typically this is what I do. I make it a priority and it brings me joy. So why not?
Yes, absolutely. Oh gosh. And what a great idea about the children's book. I think we've discussed before that you and I both have experience with, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And so I think it's hard as adults, and I can only imagine as a child how difficult that must be. So I think anything we can do to help, I think that's a great idea. And so your new book is coming out, and then this children's book will be coming out. And I love what you were saying earlier. I feel like it ties into what you were saying before about being fluid. So you may not have mapped this out in your 12-month plan that you were going to write this new children's book, but you're being fluid with the information that's coming to you and the opportunity. And I think, that's also part of self-talk, is not talking yourself out of things, but going with the flow. And so I think that this is a perfect example of that.
And also, just so with you and I don't want to lead the audience down the wrong path. I do say no. I don't say yes to everything. I am pitched so many things I can't even tell you, and I will listen. And at some point I will say, okay, well, if I work with you, will this be a possible outcome? And if the answer is no, then it's a no. Or I'll say to someone, I understand that you are in this pyramid marketing thing and you've got to I'm probably not your person, because people are always coming to me and saying, why don't you try this healthy alternative? Like, no, my body's in remission from ulcerative colitis. I have a system. No, I'm not interested. So I just want to share that I do set a boundary, and I don't take on everything that comes before me. I just take on the things that I think I can bring value to and that will help other people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that, because I think that's important, and that's also part of part of the setting boundaries and knowing your value, which ties into your recent books. And how do you the schooling program that you're in now at the Wharton School, this Chief Strategic Officer training strategy? Yes. How do you see that weaving into USA Global TV and Radio?
Every company needs a strategy, and when you are a small business, sometimes we get so caught up in what's going on in the business and we don't actually have a plan for the future. And if you're the only person in the business, that's okay. But with a television network, with people who are paying for services, they want to know that if I'm not here, the platform continues to go on and it continues to grow. So therefore, there has to be a strategy. So we're better to learn about strategy, just like the show that I teach about what they don't teach us in school. They don't teach us a lot of strategy. At least I've got a master's and I've got a doctorate. There's no strategy in any of those courses. So what a better place to get it than Wharton? And I'm learning a lot, and I've already implemented some of what I've been learning. And so we will see the results in the future.
Yes. Oh, I'm excited to see them. And I'm also curious, circling back to the show that you do every day. I think it's called, Let's Talk, Let's Finally Talk. Is that the
Let's
title?
Finally Talk.
let's finally talk. How do you come up with the ideas each day for the show? Do you map those out ahead of time, a week ahead of time, or is that something that as it comes to you, as the inspiration comes, that's the topic for the day?
So each show builds on the other, and they're all about elevated listening. So I will take, like, for example, one of the shows was on when someone shows you who they are, believe them, or you can't unsee what you now know. And sometimes it's because something I've personally experienced. And then the next show I'll think of, well, I talked about that. Now, how can I build on this? And so it just keeps going and going and going. But most times you're not going to have someone who's sitting there every day watching your show. So I have to be able to bring it all together for people who didn't see it. And the way that I do that is I always talk about my 3 questions before you speak, before you post, before you write. Is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And then I talk about the 4 pillars of elevated listening. And then the topic relates to that. So I don't do it weeks in advance. It might be the night before.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, it's, I tune into the show several times a week just as I see it pop up, and I'm always so interested in what you have to say. It's you have really great insights about things. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So how do you take vacations? Or do you take vacations? I know you said you don't have a social life, but do you give yourself time off to just completely recharge your batteries?
No, I will not go. If I'm asked to go somewhere, there has to be a business reason. If there's no business reason, then I can't justify. If there's no write-offs, then no, I don't. So over the summer, I went to London and I also went to Greece, and all of them were related to business opportunities. And to me, people will say, well, don't you just want to lie on a beach? No, I lived in Florida for I don't know how many years. I never went to the beach. We have a place at the shore. I don't go into the bay. It doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in the woods. I don't want to go hiking. What I'm doing now is what my passion is. That's what I love. So to give it up and go do something else, I don't feel like I need a vacation because I feel like every day I'm on vacation, just enjoying myself, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. I was just reflecting as you were talking that it feels to me like persistence is actually woven into who you are. It's not a quality that you call on as something separate from yourself, but it's actually just part of your nature and part of who you are, that you are sticking with things and getting it done and enjoying the process. And I think that's a really great example of how that can happen. It doesn't have to be something that a coat that we put on that can feel heavy. It can just be part of who we are, that we persist and get things done.
Yeah, it's very true. And just a quick story. Sunday, I decided to clean out my closets because I'm getting new floors and new carpeting. And so I found that in the master bedroom, the closet had water damage. And so I had moved some of my designer bags from the top of the closet to the bottom. So when I opened them up, there was mold on the bottom of them. And for any of the women out there who know Christian Louboutin, or even men, the red soled shoes, the interior of the bag is red. So I have this beautiful Christian Louboutin bag. Sorry, haters. I'm not trying. It's very old. There's a lot of memories to it. It's been stuffed and bagged and stored for a long time. And there is mold all over the bottom of it. And I looked at it and I felt very sad. The price tag's still in it because I always keep my tags because I used to have a store on eBay. And I thought, this isn't who I am anymore. So it's okay. So instead of getting upset, I just let go of that. And so in terms of persistence, I just look for the solution. And as I talk about on my shows, I will give myself 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. Once I gave myself an hour to feel sorry, to feel angry, but then I've got to move on and keep going, because all that does is just pull me back. So I have a shoe collection that I no longer wear that are absolutely stunning shoes, but they're all high heels, 6 inches, 7 inches. It's not who I am anymore. So I'm much more focused on what is the legacy I'm going to leave, as opposed to being the most glamorous, dressed up, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's a very powerful example. When you mention about your legacy, I remember hearing Oprah talking about when she was in South Africa starting her school, and she came back to talk with Maya Angelou about the school. And she said to Maya Angelou, this is going to be my greatest legacy. And Maya Angelou said, you have no idea what your legacy is going to be. And you don't know that that's the school. It's actually every life that you've touched is what your legacy is. And that stuck with me. And I think, you are touching so many lives through USA Global TV and Radio and your other work, your books and the elevated listening. And so you may not know exactly what that's going to look like, but you know that you're leaving a legacy of touching many, many people. And that's really something to feel proud of in a positive way, not an egotistical way, but a positive way, and a very powerful example, I think, for the rest of us.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Because it's living alone and working alone. I don't always see what it is that I'm creating. And it's interesting. There was a gentleman here who was doing some work yesterday, and I had seen him last year when the flood came. And so we were talking about what I've been doing. And I mentioned that I recorded this song and about the YouTube Silver Creator Award and a few things. And he said something that really stood out to me. He said, I hope you live a long and happy life. He said, I'd never want to be the one to give your eulogy. He said, because what you've accomplished, we wouldn't be able to fit into the span of an hour. And I was like, wow, like to hear that from someone that you don't really know, and all the people you do know don't say anything. It's just kind of interesting. And it kind of just touched my heart. And again, not looking for external feedback, but just hearing something like that, I was like, wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that kind of feedback doesn't have to be egotistical, but it's the feedback loop. You need that prompt. Sometimes you need to be aware of what the import is of what you're doing and what you have created. So
absolutely.
And this time has flown by. And so I've so enjoyed talking with you. Before we let you go, could you please let people know how they can connect with you?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I do have a nonprofit that I started, which is called Dr. Jacalyn. I'm sorry, I was putting me on the screen. I have a nonprofit that I started with a group of people. It's called USA Global Voices of Humanity. So if anyone wants to get involved with that, I'd love to hear from you. We're filing for our 501c3. I was kind of doing that last weekend, and then the flood came. So I'll be doing it this weekend, hopefully. And in addition to that, if you are interested in being a guest on any of our shows, you can go to usaglobaltv.com. And if you're interested in having your own TV show, we are very selective. It is not for everyone, but it is for people who are heart-centric and they want to give back and they want to be part of a family. You can have an interview with me and we can discuss it. And if you're interested in me speaking as a keynote speaker or doing a master class or private advisory, you can find me on drjacalyn.com. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for being here. What a thrill. So thank you so much for being the guest today. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye for now.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I end every show with a quote about persistence that I select ahead of time. And once again, I feel like the quote really syncs well with what the content of our discussion was. This is a quote from Benjamin Franklin, who said, "Energy and persistence conquer all things." And I think Dr. Jacalyn has shown us her energy and her persistence and what she has accomplished and what she continues to accomplish. So I'm so happy to have been able to talk with her and learn from her experiences. If you would like to reach me, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at kimberly@ringthing.com. My website is ringthing.com. And my Instagram is @ring_thing_. And I would appreciate any comments, any feedback, or any suggestions that you may have about future guests. We're here every other Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. And thank you so much. We'll sign off for today. Thank you.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.